Hi, folks. This is Adrian's Dintrix CMT Charter Market Ignition. CryptoBirb talking to you on this beautiful Friday evening. And let's not waste time. Without further ado, let's dive deep into the charts. Let's start with the intermarket technical analysis to compare and put Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in a broader context and broader traditional finance context. Let's take a look at the charts. First of all, Dow Jones Industrials keeps climbing higher, right? That's what it seems, even though it's kind of like flat on the day. It's a little bit back and forth, to where it was in a very tight range. Price range, it still continues to climb higher above the 20-day rising moving average, as well as the accelerating 50-day trend, which is, just look at its disparity, this discrepancy in the distance between the 20-day, 50-day, and 200-day moving average. Above, all of those are rising. All of these are rising, which tells you that the trend is clearly to the upside. And well, there's been a little bit of a slowdown, of a local 20-day average basis, right, when compared with the 50-day trend, which kind of like provides this trend line of support. So if in case there is a local slowdown and an actual pullback, throwback into the 38,000 point region, this is where you could potentially expect a little bit of a correction support. Similar to S&P 500, right, as it still climbs and holds steady and firm above 5,000 points, magical kind of like a barrier was broken, and right now at above 5,030 almost points right now. It's kind of like hovering above 20-day average. It's slowing down. It's touching, there are a lot of touch points lately. A lot of touch points above the over 20-day average basically tells you that the trend is kind of like bouncing. It's a little bit bouncing. It's climbing up on a very just very aggressive wall, if you will, right? 50-day average provides support around 4800s, 4500s for the 200-day. However, all of those are rising, so the chances that you're going to see immediate pullback, immediate throwback into the 4500 is rather low. The 30-year bond prices, the treasuries, are kind of like continuing to move lower, right? There is some descending channel, if you will, after a heavy, steady, strong upward trend, basically from mid-October until 2024, right? And 2024 kind of like brought this reversal, it seems. Right now, the bond prices are close to 120, which is this kind of like a point of reference, also where the confluence of several moving averages, 200-day trend, 50-day trend, and 20-day trend, all are kind of like confluently moving around one crossover point, which actually is close to 120 points, which is round number. Round numbers have special meaning in technical analysis. This is how our brains kind of like tune to those round numbers, causing this anchoring effect. Conversely, the 10-year yield prices, the 10-year yields are actually moving higher. 10-year treasuries basically moving at around almost 43, which translates to approximately 4.3% on the actual yield itself. That kind of like a steady, slow but steady upward trend movement, with support at 41, above 41.50, perhaps, let's say. Breakout recently is holding above, for several days, which is kind of like conclusive. So higher highs and higher lows, this has been the dominant tendency. So there's a little bit of a breakout. If this is an actual kind of like a bear market rally, I wouldn't say so just yet. I would be cautious, right? Because the 200-day trend is not falling, it's actually moving up. Dollar is also above all the averages, right? At 104.24. Basically, it's holding steady again, following this local breakout that looks a little bit like an inverse head and shoulders pattern when you take a look at it, right? So even though the 50-day trend is kind of like stalling, the 200-day trend is, is chopping around, it's oscillating, it's like a sine curve. It doesn't really persist in any specific direction. However, right now, locally, it's climbing higher, which is something to consider. And 20-day trend is moving higher and following closely, what the actual price action is doing. So the dollar side seems short-term strength, right, over the medium-term indifference and the longer-term horizontal side. So just maybe it's another mean reversion kind of like type of a move to be expected. So even if we climb a little bit higher, just like I could expect some immediate resistance, closer to, let's say, 105, 105 and a half, 105, 106. Who knows? Maybe if we get there, there's potentially is expected to be some initial price resistance, initial opposing force, if you will, right, to combat. Otherwise, the investors are clearly pricing in some short-term demand increase, some short-term incline. However, It's only as long as it stays above 104 points and the price action is tight. How does it all convert to crypto? Where is Bitcoin and all that, right? Well, Bitcoin has been climbing like crazy past couple of days, past couple of weeks, if you will. This has been a continuous, powerful rally off the 3,500 points lows. This is something that I actually was attempting to buy. I was talking about it on Twitter and Discord. However, I actually failed on delivering. Didn't manage to catch this micro bottom. I was posting about it on Discord at 3,500s approximately, because this is the touch point. This is the support area for 200-day B Pro trend, the Perpendicular Pro trend, which is actually literally provided the immediate support and reversal point for this actual powerful rally. So we're not only above $50,000, we're holding firm and steady and strong above $52,000, it seems, right? Even though there's a little bit of a, call it like a gravestone, well, not even like high wave doji. It's not a gravestone pattern, it's a high wave doji. Another kind of like a, harami, perhaps a little bit, right? So doji, harami cross, if you will, because there is a doji and there is harami. So the classical candlestick patterns, formations, they would suggest that there may be some local slowdown coming in eventually, because harami combined with the doji gives you a lot of indecision locally. There is some resistance, immediate resistance point. It seems at a $53,000, which is still extremely high compared to 15,500 where it was in November 2022, right? So we're talking about a powerful, massive rally overall, and the trends tend to persist more often than they are set to reverse. And in such a shape and fashion, Perpendicular Pro provides support at $41,000 right now. So in case something breaks, there's immediate support at $41,000. On the price action itself, well, the previous high becomes the support right now. So the broken resistance turns into support polarity change principle, if you will. So there is a situation where potentially $49,000 may be another support region to consider. Otherwise, locally, it's about $50,000. We have this special magical thinking about round numbers. So something to consider, magical round numbers psychologies, which is what makes us easier to glue, to anchor to those round numbers, because they're easy to remember, right? Even though it's a round number like any other, we do have some special passion and feeling about those. And it's our brains at times, and it's only our minds at times that actually make it real and materialize those levels. Because we think of it, we actually anticipate certain reaction there, and because we anticipate certain reaction, we would often cluster our sell of bits, in that region. So this is what causes and provides initial opposing force. That is actually a source of local reversals quite often. So this is how self-fulfilling prophecy effect upon that works. So quite a strong, powerful movement also in Ethereum. Just look at this breakout. It's almost tagged 2,900, right? 2,900, which is close to $3,000 or $3,000. Again, big magical milestone barrier resistance expected. Even though the breakout target is at 4,400, again, it's a classical technical analysis principle, even though we don't know the future, again, because many people use the same techniques to anticipate certain price targets, just maybe they're going to come and virtualize and materialize themselves. So the base size of this beautiful, clean, ascending triangle, beautiful classical chart pattern, 880 all the way to 2140, places us in a target anticipation around 3,400s, right? So this is potentially where our eyes are going to be glued. 200-day moving average is climbing. Support was defended quite well and quite clear. The breakout is coming in. New highs, higher highs, high lows. Now 19-month highs, to the best of my memory, was for what Ethereum just did. Trends persist. It's an uplifting move reacting positively to the recent Bitcoin rally as well. So this seems to be eager for continuation. Here's what we're looking at. Chain link, powerful chain link. Even though there's been a local slowdown in the expected target area following this local breakout, again, between 12.8 and 16.6, approximately this channel, this trading range, if you will, a little bit kind of like on given and reached with whipsaws, on both sides of the range. Still, it provided a target more conservative at 20.4 and less conservative, more aggressive at 23.2. This provides you with the cluster of target areas that you could expect. So far, reaching $21, chain link has seen a local turbulence, some local opposing force. Again, the anchoring effect and the self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will, effect may be coming true and virtualize itself right here. The trend mode is bullish. The high time frame trailer is clearly bullish. It continues with a stop at 1657. So as long as this level is defended, even though it might be a little bit of a throwback pullback, this is where I would expect, since this is ATR adjusted, this is volatility adjusted. So it incorporates traditional volatility measures from the ATR average true range, and it calculates the potential stop and target based on this actual volatility. So in the current volatility matters, you could expect Chainlink to kind of like find a little bit of a support and exhaust the selling forces at around 16.57, 16.6, if you will. So, well, who knows if there is a local slowdown, right? That actually may come due to the daily bearish divergence, right? Because if you take a look, we have a set of higher highs on the price action and lower highs on the divergence, right? This poses classical bearish market. This poses and results in a classical bear market divergence. This actually translates and this actually transpires into the daily bearish divergence on the momentum side, right? On the daily RSI side. So even though there is a strong bull market, the 200-day BPRO trend is rising aggressively, it's rising aggressively. Please note that this is actually this is 3-day. Please note that this is a 3-daily time frame, right? This is a 3-day time frame, so each and every single bar and point on this moving average is 3 days. It's not a daily chart. However, RSI up here, relative strength index, is measured in days, right? This is daily time frame. So I kind of like put and overlay the daily RSI to anticipate daily reversals with the actual 3-day chart over here. Regardless, the bearish divergence is real. The trends are rising. This is still a 200-day moving average, by the way, right? So this is a 200-day moving average. If we compare the 200-day moving average for the BPRO side, we arrive at a 14.7 approximately, right? So just for the sake of having this full picture of Chainlink, I'm using this 3-day chart to show much more of a history. 310% from the low at 4.7, minus 63% from the all-time highs at $53 actually from 2021. It was beautiful time right there, and 35% all the way up since the year started, right? So the year-to-date performance is 35%. That's what it seems. And the year-to-date performance is basically 35%, right from approximately $15 or so. You know, we are taking a look at the current prices at approximately $20. Long-term bull market that continues, and even though there's local correction anticipated since the market is overheated, the corrections seem to be for buying opportunities. Now let's take a look at SUI, at the SUI network. Basically, it seems to me that it wants to rip off into some sort of like a direction eventually, because it's been creating this beautiful long-term saucer, this rounded bottom formation, if you will. Well, it's not a cap, it's not a rounded top, right? So it's hard to talk about tops. It looks much more like an actual bottom formation, like a long-term accumulation. So while we don't know the future, again, there's something to anticipate for the bearish divergence, right? So the bearish divergence is also present for SUI over here, right? Lower highs on the RSI side, higher highs on the price action. This clearly shows a little bit discrepancy that the trend is slowing, right? Even though it keeps climbing higher, actually the momentum slows down, which is a little bit of a danger zone, if you will, right? Signs of exhaustion. Strong bullish trend rallying, continuing since December last year, which is interesting. Immediate support at 1.63 approximately, right? This is high time frame trend support, high time frame trailer trend support. The 200-day BPRO trend is rising more aggressively than the 200-day actual simple moving average. Still, both because of the anchoring effect, can be used to anticipate certain support. So in case 1.63 breaks down and there is some immediate, very short, very long, aggressive, unexpected correction, you could search and anticipate support on 1.0 and approximately 0.72, 0.75 until then, it seems, right? Otherwise, the low 0.35, the high 2.0 basically tells us that we are 130% year to date and close to only 10% from the actual all-time highs and 400% from the lows. Okay, quite a positive performance. Seems like a decent pick for corrections, because like I said, the corrections seem to be due. I don't know where they're gonna come. No one knows that, right? Still, there is some there can be some anticipation. Some people probably can virtue and see, you know, some sort of like a rising wedge pattern, if you will, which may add a little bit of a speculation to the downside. Still, what matters is that trends tend to persist. So those trends are rising. There's no way to refute and deny that. Strong rising trends seem to point the direction, right? And even though there might be a little bit of a local correction slowdown, even if that happens, the trend should persist and continue, retain the uplifting direction. Now let's take a look at AZERO, LF0. So basically we're taking a look right now and we're seeing this massive trading range boundaries, right? Spreading between 0.7 and almost 2.0 in a 15-month consolidation, because it's not a trend. It's actually big chopping around in this massive trading range, right? This is not really an actual bull market. It seems in a local corrective tide, right? The trend has gained back, has reclaimed the bullish stance right now. It's kind of like barely seen because it's just done it, right? However, it stayed for most of the past couple of months, kind of like leveling off and cooling off from the peak attempt at 1.9, closing close to 2.0, close to the all-time highs. It's kind of like just, you know, really reduced the prices a lot, you know, down to 0.88. Quite a significant correction. Okay, so within this range, there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of kind of like massive movements, 0.7 all the way to almost 2, right? Then 2 almost down to 0.88. And this is a long-term trading range condition, right? So as long as there is no breakout, the chart is supposed to oscillate between the high end and the low end, with the 200-day BPRO trend kind of like falling right now, you know, providing immediate support or resistance, the anchoring level at around 0.26, which is exactly what the price is right now. Okay, long-term support 1.7, 1.07, and 0.88. Otherwise, if either of those get broken, probably the 0.7 low is going to act as a magnet, right? Otherwise, if we manage to maintain this bullish stance that market has just claimed back, it may actually turn into the bullish wind and the tailwind to push it further beyond the new all-time highs. Because eventually, when there's a lot of anticipation, there's halving, there's, you know, decent market performance overall, it seems that Bitcoin may push, you know, and pull the other altcoins actually behind it. Now let's take a quick look at SHIDO, right? First, an immediate point. Well, this is a little bit of a short price history, so take a note of that. The low at 0.0005. The consolidation peak basically at 0.013. The immediate support 008, 007. Support is kind of like clustered between those levels, right? It's a range low, local range low, swing low, if you will, right? There is immediate kind of like, again, low somewhere previously 0.75. So the mark, you know, there seems to be some reaction between 0.07 and 0.075. However, the support is provided by the 50-day BPRO trend, right? It's not a 200-day BPRO trend line. It's a 50-day BPRO trend with a support. So it's a medium-term support following this local correction, right? Because the market is not moving up right now, it's moving sideways, and it's moving sideways in form of this consolidation stretching overall between what's it going to be 0.004 and 0.013. That's what it seems, right? So the bearish trend stance is maintained and retained. The high temperature stop is at 0.00996, right? So there is some bearish trend, it seems, right? There's bearish trend on the daily basis. The trend mode is bearish. The 50-day trend line is flat. That is lacking the steam. So all that I can say is that the chart tells me it's not bullish, right? Even so, it may be more neutral than bearish. The bearish stance on the daily trend emerges, right? Which is something that I would not necessarily buy into. I would be careful buying the dips on that as well, because, you know, the price short history. That's one thing. Another thing is, like I said, that we don't want to kind of like buy into the weakness. We want to buy into the strength. So wait until the trend actually pushes further. And this is a medium-term time frame, right? So anywhere between 3 weeks and 3 months is your time scope. By taking a look at this chart, I could recommend some caution in here, and not really any immediate action is needed if you are not into those positions just yet. 510% year-to-date performance, which is quite a positive rally, right? That's not something that can be refuted and forgotten. Now, 33% from the high, from the swing high, is something that cannot be omitted as well. So powerful rally, powerful breakout. However, I would be cautious because this powerful breakout may actually retrace a little bit lower in case we fail to maintain 0.008, 007. Just maybe after some short-term correction, who knows, maybe short-term correction is due. If it comes, the trend will resume higher. Watch the direction of the 50-day trend. And finally, this one is different. This is SHIDO chain coin, STC, right? And this is also the last of my 5 chart requests that I'm gonna have every Thursday. And well, this is a chart that I prepared. Eventually took the data from the CoinMarketCap CMC, ran the 20-day moving average. The red curve is the 20-day moving average. The white curve on top is obviously the closing price of the SHIDO chain. So what we're taking a look is the closing price is at 0.0011. And what matters is that the price has crossed below the 20-day moving average, right? This is 20-day moving average. The volume seemed biggest, somewhere around September 2022. Right now, it's kind of like come off quite significantly. The RSI in the 0.47, kind of like, just trading a little bit lower with this local double top, if you will, right? The prices moved higher. The RSI didn't really follow through, which typically is a little bit of a warning sign, right? Ideal healthy chart is where there's no divergence. There's like full 100 reflection of the price direction of the price swings and the momentum swings. It seems that so far this local weakness, this local kind of like a mild bearish divergence played out. The trend, the 20-day trend, the short-term trend is rising, which is something to consider. So even though we slipped right beneath, it may happen that the short-term bullish trend emerges and reemerges, and the prices are actually going to get bought on this bargain hunters, right? Because the bargain hunters are there, assuming and betting on the mean reversion or the trend reversion, coming back to the mean, and the mean is above the actual price. So it causes it gives us some opportunity to take a look at the potential purchases eventually, right? However, like I said, the actual RSI, the momentum is flat. It's actually not really in the best buying conditions. So I would probably wait for a little bit of a buy signal from the technical perspective, right? Otherwise, the trend direction is up. So eventually the trends tend to persist. More often than they tend to reverse. Something to consider. However, local slowdown local slowdown caused by this mild bearish divergence seems to be playing out just now. And that's about it, everybody. I'm trying out this new content, weekly schedule, the weekly schedule strategy content schedule for quarters, for weeks, for days, where each and every single day I have a different type of content. Well, this is me trying to re-engage with everybody. This has been way too long since I got some chart reviews to you. This has been way too long since I got the fundamental reviews. The airdrop guides are coming. There's a lot of things that we've been working on behind the scenes. And well, you might want to tune into the Birb Nest for more details. So feel free to go ahead and take a look at www.thebirbnest.com. There are a lot of nice resources that we just implemented, something for you to consider. And stay tuned because we're going to have some code releases next days. God bless you. I'll see you around and bye-bye.